The dog that killed the whole town. Do not look into its eyes. The first corpse was found on the second night, torn open like an offering to something unseen. But it wasn't the wounds that disturbed the town. It was the expression, lips peeled back in a grin too wide for human anatomy, as if death had frozen him in laughter. By the fourth night, the laughter had spread. It started with a low, choking giggle in the throats of those who had seen the dog. A stray, they said. Black fur matted with mud. Eyes too dark to reflect the moonlight. It didn't bark. It didn't growl. It only watched. And when it left, its silence clung to the air like an unspoken warning. Nobody saw it arrive in Hollow Creek. Nobody knew who fed it. But once you noticed it, you couldn't unsee it. It would sit at the edge of your vision, watching. Always watching. Day 1, the first sightings. Martha Coulter swore she saw it first. She was coming back from the diner when she spotted it, sitting at the corner of Dawson Street. Just a dog, she told herself. A stray. But then it tilted its head, slowly, mechanically, as if it were studying her, not out of curiosity but calculation. She turned away, forcing herself to ignore the chill creeping up her spine. When she reached her porch, she looked back. The dog was closer. No sound. No footsteps. Just there. Martha slammed her door shut, locked it, and swallowed the rising panic. The next morning, Martha Coulter was dead. Day 3, the whispering begins. By the third day, the town was different. Hollow Creek always had its silences, nights so quiet you could hear your own heartbeat. But now the silence felt unnatural, heavy, like something unseen was breathing just behind your ear. Sheriff Reed knew something was wrong. The bodies, 3 now, were untouched by scavengers. No blood at the scenes. No struggle. Just that same horrific grin stretching across their faces. Then came the whispering. Not voices. Not words. Just the unmistakable sensation of something moving just beyond sight. A shift in the air. A presence that wasn't there before. And in every corner, just barely out of sight. The dog. It sat across the road from the diner. At the end of the alleyway behind the church. In the middle of the empty playground where the swings creaked in the windless air. The townsfolk tried to ignore it, but ignoring it didn't help. Day 5, the first laughter. Tommy Ellis was the first to laugh. The town had gathered in the chapel, whispering about leaving, about whether the deaths were a sickness or something worse. That's when Tommy giggled. A single breathy chuckle that froze the room. Tommy, his wife whispered. He clutched his stomach, his body shaking with laughter. His eyes bulged, mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. He tried to speak, but only laughter came, louder, deeper, a sound that wasn't human anymore. Then his head jerked up, his gaze locked onto something no one else could see. His lips moved. He's here. He collapsed, stone dead. Outside the chapel, the dog sat waiting. Day 7, the curse takes hold. By the 7th day, Hollow Creek was no longer Hollow Creek. The streets were empty, but the town was full. Full of whispers. Of quiet, choked laughter seeping through locked doors. Of an unseen presence pressing against windows, waiting for someone to look. Sheriff Reed didn't sleep anymore. The dog had been at his doorstep all night, its hollow black eyes unblinking. That morning, he found his wife grinning at the ceiling, unmoving. He didn't check for a pulse. He already knew. Then he heard the scratching at the door. Slow, rhythmic, a patient invitation. A single thought pressed into his mind. Do not look into its eyes. He clenched his jaw, gripping his shotgun. But deep down, he knew the gun was useless. The scratching stopped. Silence. Then, a breath. Just behind him. The cold realization settled in his bones. The dog had never been outside. Day 10. No survivors. There is no Day 10. There is no Hollow Creek. Just an empty town, abandoned overnight. Houses untouched, food left on tables, doors swinging open in the windless air. No bodies. No blood. Just a single black dog sitting in the town square. Waiting. Watching. Hungry. And now, it knows you are listening. Did you hear that? That small, breathless chuckle behind you? Don't turn around. Don't look into its eyes. It's already here. The end? But you don't feel alone anymore, do you?